Terry, and welcome to Fishing the Region. Today we're at Wolf Lake, right on the border of Indiana and Illinois. Right behind me here is the state line. That's Illinois. This is Indiana. Doing some tip-up fishing today for bass and northerns, we hope. Fishing hasn't been too good so far, but wanted to take a few minutes while I had the time to talk about tip-ups again. I made one video that showed the different settings on how to use a tip-up, and then I started watching some other videos, and there seems to be a little bit of confusion out there, and I thought maybe I could clear some things up. So here we go, we have our tip-up. This one's already baited. Bring it on up here. Got some really big golden roaches from Miglert's Tackle that we're trying out. I don't know how good it's gonna be. So one of the things, the first thing I should talk about, first of all, is how do you set your depth? You use what we call a depth finder. It's just a heavy lead weight with a clip on it. What I have here on the line is a split shot right above my leader where my minnow goes. You just take your weight, clip it through your line so it stops on that split shot, and then just simply let it go until it hits bottom. Now once it's on the bottom, you reel up how far you want your bait above the bottom. I usually like to go a foot or two, so I'll reel in a little bit. Remember also, you got to make up the distance for the shaft and for your leader length. Then you bring this up, unclip your line, and send your bait back down. Now a lot of people will put a button or a bobber or something right here that tells them right where their depth is. When a fish takes the line or whatever, then they can just automatically reset it. I personally don't do that because when I tip up fish, I use tip ups just like a jigging rod, in that I'll move them if I'm not getting anything. A lot of people, they'll fish with tip-ups as a secondary, just a secondary thing. They'll set them out, they'll forget about them, and then they'll do their jigging for their panfish. I don't panfish, so I use my tip-ups, and I will move them around quite a bit. I know it seems like a long, drawn-out process, but once you get used to it, clipping the weight on, send it down, reel it back up, get your weight back, send your bait back down, you can keep changing pretty fast. I really don't want to be messing with setting a button or a bobber or anything else. It's just too much to worry about. Now I'd also like to talk about false flags. There's 3 types of false flags that you're going to get. One is a false flag from your minnow swimming so hard that it actually activates your flag. Now I talked about that on my last video about tip-ups. Since today we're using a pretty large minnow, I'm going ahead and using the large notch. But if I was using a standard size golden roach, I'd be using the little notch. The reason is fish in the winter aren't nowhere near as aggressive as they are in summertime. Their metabolism is way down, and they can be kind of finicky. If you keep your tip-up set on the hardest setting all the time, you're gonna miss fish. They're gonna grab your bait, they're gonna swim with it, they're gonna feel that tip-up there, and they're gonna spit it. So always keep your tip-up set on the lightest setting possible that your minnow's not going to keep tripping the flag. Now, the next false flag you're going to get is a wind flag. And this is why I talked about using these notches. Wind can be a little bit of a pain when it comes to tip-ups. Now, I was watching another video, and the advice was to just put the tip-up on the big notch, and that'll solve your problem. If you're using small minnows and you're using that large notch, like I said, you're gonna miss fish. So just because it's windy doesn't mean that you should set the tip up harder. What I'll do instead is, if I've got a wind that's coming at my back and a real strong wind, always make sure that your flag position is on the upwind side of the shaft. So when the wind blows the flag into the shaft. That'll greatly reduce your wind flags. Now, like I talked about on the other video, it depends on whether you want, as the T spins, if you want it going downhill or uphill. Once you have that set, then pick up the whole tip up and turn it. If I got wind at my back and I want it like that, just pick up the whole thing and turn it. Don't mess with your settings to the point where, you know, the fish are really gonna feel. If they really feel the tension on that tip up, they're gonna spit that minnow out. And then finally, your third false flag is when you have a friend that thinks he's really funny and he throws snowballs at your tip up and knocks the flag, and of course that makes you come running out of your shanty and practically falling for no reason. If that's the case, just put it in the back of your mind and wait for an opportune moment if he's been drinking coffee or whatever. And when he walks away, wait for the absolute best time and start running to one of his tip-ups and yell flag as loud as you can. Then when he finally gets over there, look at his boots and see if they're wet. For now, that's all I got. Thanks.